Why God must have created the universe. This is the one line of evidence that would convince me that God exists. This sentence comes from a pastor, does not come from a theologian. It comes from someone who was once in atheism, and what changed their mind. It was not a religious experience. It was not a blind faith, but it was evidence of one single fact, that the universe had a beginning. It had to begin. This one truth, accepted by virtually all scientists today, this forms the foundation of a powerful case for the existence of God, one that is difficult to ignore. So let's start with the universe. Okay, let's start at the beginning of the universe. For most of history, people assumed the universe was eternal, meaning there was no beginning, there was no end to it. But modern cosmology tells us something different today. Through research and discoveries like the Big Bang, we now know the universe had a definite beginning. So it definitely was started. It did not just exist eternally. Science finally caught up to what the Bible said thousands of years ago. In Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It's not just a language, a poetic language. It's a claim. And this aligns with what we know today. And here's the simple logic to go by for this. We're going to start with the cosmological argument. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. This is the most important part here. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe has a cause. This isn't a religious sermon or preaching. It's deductive reasoning. It's the kind of reasoning that makes someone who may not believe in Christ or anything at all, an atheist, maybe pause and think, so what kind of cause? Okay, what kind of cause was there? If the universe had a beginning, then something or someone had to bring that beginning into existence. But this cause, it couldn't be part of the universe itself, because the universe itself didn't exist yet. So what must the cause be? Transcendent, meaning existing beyond time and space. Eternal, not bound by time since it created time. Immaterial, not physical, because physical matter did not exist yet. Must be powerful, capable of creating all that exists. It must be intelligent. The universe is governed by laws and a precision, so it's got to be something intelligent, purposeful and caring. The universe supports all kinds of life. So ask yourself this question: what does that sound like to you? Does that sound like it just eternally existed? Does that sound like there was a creator? We see in John 4 that God is spirit. From everlasting to everlasting, you are God. Psalms tell us the heavens declare the glory of God. So that list, it's not just a coincidence, but it's a direct description of the God of the Bible. Not just a beginning, but a fine-tuned one. It's not just that the universe began, it's that it began precisely the way it needed to in order for life to exist. The physical constants like gravity, speed of light, atomic structure, these are all very finely tuned that if they were even slightly different, life would be impossible. And yet when we are confronted with this precision, many skeptics default back to words like chance or there's a multiverse, but these are not explanations really, they're just placeholders. To say it just happened, is not a scientific answer. To say it just always existed and always was there, it's not a scientific answer. It's a way of avoiding the obvious. The universe looks designed. Why? Because it was designed. Now, what is the challenge as a skeptic? If you're a skeptic, you have a skeptical mind, you're watching this now saying, yeah, right. And that's okay. It's okay to question things. This isn't about proving every detail of Christianity to you. It's not an argument about moral law, salvation. It's just about something very basic. Did the universe come from nothing, by nothing, for nothing? Or did it come from something? Did someone create it? Was there an intention there? Was there a power there? These are the questions to ask yourself, and they're interesting questions. C.S. Lewis, who once was an atheist, eventually realized the weight of that question. And here's what he said about that. I believe in Christianity as I believe that the sun has risen, not only because I see it, but because by it, I can see everything else. So interesting perspective. C.S. Lewis didn't come to believe through blind faith. He followed the evidence and it led him to something greater than the universe. It led him to God. So it's interesting to hear from someone, whether you believe in Christ or not. I'm sure you've heard of C.S. Lewis. A lot of great quotes, biblically focused, obviously, but was not always that way. Was an atheist at one point. So may have been where you're at now, may have been where some of us were at, prior to becoming believers. And that's okay. I don't believe anyone just starts out believing in a supernatural power, understanding that the universe was not scientifically created. These are bigger questions to understand and kind of wrap your head around. So to sort of wrap this up, we are not an accident, basically, is the way to put this. If the universe had a cause, and that cause resembles the God of the Bible, then you and I are not here by chance. For since the creation of the world, we see in Romans, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made. We can clearly see there was a supernatural creator, something we can't comprehend fully and will never be able to comprehend fully, maybe not even when we get to heaven. That means you were created with intention. It was not random. It was not luck, but with a purpose. So some final thoughts here. Think reason here, not as much religion we're going by. You don't have to abandon science to believe in God. I don't think that you should. I think you should follow science honestly, and it might lead to him, sort of like we're doing here right now. The argument that swayed the former atheist that we're speaking about, it was simple. The universe began. It means it has a cause. If something has a cause, then it has to have a beginning, and someone had to have created that cause. The Big Bang couldn't have been the Big Bang unless someone created the Big Bang. And not saying that was the cause. I'm giving an example. It couldn't have just occurred. Something had to have existed prior to that. That's the overarching question that no one can answer. There's no rational answer, logical answer. The most logical answer is a supernatural being created everything. The cause must be transcendent, timeless, immaterial, intelligent, and powerful. In the description, who could that be? What could that be? It looks like God. It looks a lot like God. I don't think there's a good counter argument here that I have found, one that can convey the message any differently, because it all boils back down to the single question: what came before the Big Bang? We'll keep using that as the example. What came before that? What created that? It couldn't have just occurred in nothingness. So some things to think about here. So you've read the logic, you've seen the evidence. Maybe now you take the next step, not going away from reason, but deeper into reason. You don't need to silence your doubts, work through them. You just need to ask the right questions. And maybe one of those will lead you to the answers that you're looking for. So hopefully this was helpful. Encourage you to sign up for the newsletter. As always, great articles in there, great studies in there. If you're looking to go a little bit further, you'll find links down in the description, and I'll see you in the next one.